you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxys map generator. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. Starting off with Team 1 in the Northwest, ending with Team 2 in the Southeast. Starting off with Team 1 Southeasternmost player closest to Team 2's front line. It is Melanol. I want to say melanoma or something. Going first line as a Seraphim. He is a 1300 in orange. To go the orange to his west in glow in the dark green. It is Shady Socks. Going first line as a UF. He is a 1900, the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall. To his northeast in Regal Purple, we have Anytime going first line as a Cybran. He is a 1500. To his north in not Imperial Gray, it is Batman Gray. It is Han Solo going first line as a UEF. He is a 1400. And obviously, I threw out the question, will he shoot first or not? And last but not least, for Team 1 to the west here, we have Darabus going first line as a Seraphim in Tropical Ocean Blue. He is a 1500. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have two UEF, two Seraphim, and one Cybran, which means Team 1 lacks Aeon technology. Starting off with Team 2, southeasternmost player in Snow White, blending in with his environment is Zoom going first line as a UEF. He is a 1500. To his east, the only Aeon of the game, it is Gamer9 XXX going first land. He is in Rust at a 1500 rating. In Chevy Crimson in the middle of Team 2's lineup, we have the Aggro going first line as a UEF. He is also a 1500 in Chevy Crimson. The other red player on Team 2 is Chicken Rayaba going first line as a Seraphim. He is the highest rated player on Team 2 at a 1700 rating. And running out Team 2's roster here, we have in the West, Tolsty 4OK going first line as a UEF in Emerald Green. Also going second and third air. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have 3 UEF, 1 Seraphim, and 1 Aeon, which means Team 2 lacks Cybran technology, and as a reminder, Team 1 lacks Aeon technology. And for 10 players on the map, how much reclaim do they have to scoop up? It is everywhere. A lot of it in the middle, a lot of it on the edges as well, but it is everywhere. And that adds up to 67,000 reclaim, which means it's 6.7 thousand mass per player, which is, as I always say, a ton. It's 2 tons of mass here in this game. Lots of upgrades, lots of units, lots of just scaling of the eco very, very quickly. We could see an early T3 factory. We could see 2 T3 early air factories if it is the desire of our players. And of course, mass point layouts here. There are a lot of them on the map, but there are a decent amount of congregated mass points here. Taking a look at Team 1 side of the map very briefly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 quad mech positions here for Team 1, as well as a dattering of mechs everywhere. There's also a couple mechs on some plateaus that are inaccessible unless you distance build or transport units up there. And there are a couple of ponds that players can hide their comms in. There's nothing in the back line to hide. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody hide it early to mid game, but definitely late to end game. You're probably not going to hide in the water, most likely, just due to the fact that possibly the front lines are going to either collapse or be heavily in your favor. So maybe you'll hide if one team is, super pushing on one side and not on the other side. But we'll just have to see what our players decide to do as the game progresses. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and see where our players are going. This map is almost a 20 by 20, so it's going to take a little bit to get the action going. So I will offset that by speeding the game up just a smidgen. So that way we don't have to sit here and wait too long to see comms and units throw plasma, missiles. I was going to say grenades, but they don't throw grenades. And everything else at one another. We do see some early air scouts about here for both teams, trying to get some nice intel here for their teams, as well as a transport laden with some engineers outbound from Zoom. Going, looks like, for this quad mix position down here. And I would not be surprised to see him grab a attempt at least on this quad mix position down south as well. We do see transport with engineers also online here for Team 1's Darabus going for this plateau position. Looks like he will get that advantage because there's nothing else there except for a T1 mech, so no units as well. Transports in the east. Lots of transports here for both teams, but Team 2 has 2 of them out. Team 1 only has 1. Scratch that, they have 2 of them. Looks like they are going to be landing shortly. There are in an interceptor nearby trying to shoot down that transport. Will the transport make it to safety and drop? Yes, it will. And immediately start the T1 land facility and just spamming those out. There are a couple of engineers nearby. Unfortunately for Zoom, he will lose the number game as that facility finish off, and then they'll start pumping out some units. I think I'm going to slow it down to 1. I think 0 is a little too slow. We do see a transport with one tiny little Zoomy on board, outbound from Chicken. Going west, he's going to drop right here and call it. Doesn't want to push too far forward. If Team 1's comm of Han Solo is nearby, he could easily divert northward. But we will have to see if he does notice it. We do see, again, transports running around the map here on both edges of the map. Not a terrible amount of focus down the exact middle of the map. But, of course, we do see Darabus is in a little bit more of a frontline position on that plateau. We'll give him a little bit of advantage for the early game. But, of course, it is near Team 2's main player of Tolste's base, or main frontline player of Tolste's base, so I don't think that position is going to last too long. But it definitely will annoy Team 2 at the minimum. And unfortunately, speaking of Team 2, we have Zoom over here on this upper plateau going for this quad mechs. He dropped here as well. The unfortunate thing is he is now isolated. Team 1 has essentially locked him off from land for the time being. He is going to move with his commander directly, trying to alleviate that problem. But as of right now, his forces and frontline facility are isolated, which you don't want that, because if you don't have any supply lines, your base is going to just crumble and die because you don't have any supplies coming in and out, and it's just not going to be a good day. He does have another transport with some more engineers. Maybe he's going to try to drop a little bit shorter, which he is. Looks like he's going to drop just a couple of them going after some other mechs, and it looks like just building all of them exactly. Bomber over top going after Zoom's commander. Again, T1 Bomber isn't really that much of a pain to deal with, or even just to have exist, but again, every bit of hit points makes the difference. It, makes at least Team 2's Shady Socks a little bit more, not Shady Socks, excuse me, Team 2's Zoom a little bit more hesitant in engaging Shady Socks' position, who is coming in to assist his frontline base. His goal is, of course, to force Zoom either back or delay him at a minimum, so his comm can assist. Of course, there are one T1 PD here and another one about to build. Looks like Sadie Sock's trying to distract Zoom long enough so that PD can come online, which it will, which will prevent Zoom from engaging. There are obviously some engineers now coming in to assist with those engineering operations as well. So Team 2's Zoom will be pushed back for the time being in that southern side. But again, he is forcing Shady Socks and a little bit of forces outbound from Team 1's Melanol. I swear I want to say melanoma for some reason. I don't know why. I'm having to divert somewhat to the west to deal with this nice run by here, but there are already bombers on the case here for 2 players outbound from Team 1. It's really not going to go realistically a lot of places. We do see PD being dropped heavily far forward here against the retreating operations here for Zoom. Zoom trying to get his own PD online, but he will be killed off here as the first player of the game to exit via giant explosion. That is now a 5v4 in favor of Team 1, and Shady Socks does claim the kill. It looks like the transport, he was going to drop engineers here, but it looks like he picked them back up, or he didn't even drop them off at all, and dropped them very far forward, got that PD online. But at that point, Zoom had already received so much damage to his chassis, I don't think the PD would have made a difference, but it definitely expedited the process and allowed for Team 1 to claim victory, and now the retreat. I want more of a tactical adjustment here for Shady Socks moving to take out this facility. That way there's no issues in the backline for him to deal with as the game progresses. In the northeast and in the east, Team 2 making a very great job of grabbing the entire eastern edge of the map and pushing westward, while Team 1 is winning in the southwest and western side. In general, Team 2 is winning on the northeast and eastern side. In general, gun speeding range has been started here for the Seraphim commander of Melanol. Again, every time I say his name, I want to think of melanoma or something else like that, but for some reason, my brain, it doesn't like the N being there for some reason. It's like melon and then ol. Melanol. Anyway, we see Han Solo up here to the north. He does not score first blood on a comm, but again, he was also not the first one shot as well, so it's not the best situation. It's not the worst situation. He is facing a nice T2 firebase coming online here shortly. More T1 factory is going to be start spamming out here for Team 2's chicken. But again, Han Solo will be forced back. He doesn't have that much to really back him up. He has a gun. But again, he's facing down a T2 PD, not a T1. So that T2 will have the range on him. He will get some veterancy here from all of these THAMs that he's engaging with. But that PD will start locking onto him, I would assume, pretty shortly. Yep, there it is. And start just reducing his hit point counts very, very quickly. I don't see any upgrades started as anywhere else. We do see Anytime has a T2, and Tolsty has T2 and Engineers. So we're really trying to pump out engineering facilities and PD and everything to try to claim more territory in the northeastern section of the map. Getting some TMD and has a decent line of PD, a couple of them at a minimum. Cerberus PD versus Triads. Obviously, we know which way that's going to go. As long as the radar obviously is online. Team 2 doesn't have radar online, which will give Anytime the advantage. He can see the structures while Tolsty cannot. He saw one of them right here, but he doesn't know that there's one building right there. And once that PD comes online, he'll be able to start, Team 1 will start targeting all of the PD here for Team 2. Oh, actually, no, it's barely out of range. Definitely unfortunate. Could have pushed it a little bit far forward, but doesn't do that. We do see Tolsty sending his forces southwest. I don't really know why. Maybe he's trying to plug up some holes that Anytime is trying to exploit down the center of the map. But in the west, we see Melonol does have that gun finished off, going after the Agrol's commander, or at least his frontline forces. Commander at his base, going for more of those facilities. We do see, of course, Shady Sox has begun to eradicate Team 2's presence in that southwestern corner of the map. And then after he's done with that, we'll probably push with his commander against the Agrol, making that a 2v1 in favor of Team 1. And it is, again, a 1v1 in the north and a 1v1 in the northeast. We do see another transport with some Zooey online. Interceptors do not see that. That interceptor squadron will be able to take that out very quickly. But Team 1 does not notice it. They don't see it on radar. They need more radar online. You need to see vision. As we saw in yesterday's game, if you haven't gone and see that, go ahead and check it out. It definitely would have been the disaster that occurred during the game but probably would have been prevented had there been adequate radar installations nearby. That's all I'm going to say at this point because I don't want to spoil the ending, but just you'll see when you watch the game, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, we'll see what I mean. But T2 PD going at one another, at least the units going at one another. We do see Anytime trying to force these units back outbound from Tolsty. Tolsty again has T2 and drone. Anytime only has T2. And somebody needs to get a gun online to start forcing one line back at the other. Lots of PD online both sides. There are some T2 units engaging here for Tolsty. But those PD from the Cerberus, again, they're not great individually, just like anything in the game. Not necessarily great individually unless you're talking about experimentals and that stuff. But when you get a group of anything together, 1,000 of anything will kill anything. It does not really matter how much damage you do. If you have 1,000 things that deal 1 damage a second versus 10 things that deal 10 damage a second, the 1 damage a second will outperform the 10 damage a second. It's just how it works. Again, PD versus PD. The Triads, of course, have better single fire damage. And the Cerberus are really good at Team 1 units just to kind of poke and prod at them constantly. But Anytime will be forced back. His PD lineup is not adequate. And unfortunately, he should have got a shield or 2 online. The T2 shielding for the Cyberns are very cheap. Easy could have built that online, give him a little bit more time to take out the PD for Team 2's Tolsty, but just didn't decide to do so. And we do see in the southwest, Melanon going after the egg roll, but it looks like it's the other way around. Melanon going after the units, trying to get some veterancy on board that commander. He already is sitting at 3-star, almost at 4. So while he's in the yellow, he's at 4,000 hit points. The egg roll sitting at 1-star at 10,000 hit points. And we do see some units outbound from Shady as well coming in to assist. Couple of T1s, but it does give a little bit more breathing room for Melanon to escape that incursion or retaliation, or whatever you want to call that. Here we do see the comm of Shady Sox has retreated. Looks like he's going back home. I'm going in the water up here. A couple of raiding elements have occurred here for Gamer9 in the southwest. We haven't heard a lot from him yet. We've just seen him kind of just building up units with that dual base online and air grid that he now is going to establish with that T3 air headquarters at 14 minutes. We should see T3 air on Team 1 side of the map as well. Yes, we do. But again, the difference being Team 2 has the air player at double base. Team 1 does not, which will skyrocket the production facilities, the upgrading everything for Team 2. And again, we've seen a lot of games, especially recently, that air is the difference between victory or defeat. So hopefully these players will decide to take that into consideration. Unfortunately, this game was casted before the other ones that well, the game was not created, the game was had, or the game was played before. Obviously, this is, it's 22-3. The other ones have been cast in the 22-4, 22-5. So a little bit of an older one. Not too much, though. I think it's like a couple weeks old. Maybe it's maybe a month. I don't know. Anyway, so they will not have learned that lesson in this game, but that's just kind of how games have been progressing here, at least recently. We see Nano started here for Melanol, definitely in Seraphim standard. We see T2 started here for the Egro, definitely UEF standard. Nothing out of each other's playbook so far, at least out of the ordinary. And we do see Tolstein has not pushed forward, but is trying to solidify his power in the northeast. He wants to prevent any sort of incursion, either cutting off the forces and supply lines here for Chicken or just right down the middle. There's nothing in the middle really that either team is doing. This could be a great attack vector for both teams if they decide to go with it, but I don't see any efforts. There are a couple of facilities over here for Team 1, but again, there's nothing here for Team 2. Very exposed. Lots of T2 Mechs. Is one T1 PD, but I don't see that anytime soon. Chicken says cover please to his teammates. We do see some, actually no, those are artillery. Those are some clean cameras going after the firebase here for Chicken. Chicken trying to get some more shields online and also going for his own artillery. Going to be some firebase wars here in the north, but Han Solo probably going to win that fight. Seraphim shields are very, very strong, but the UAF are known for two things: firebase and big, giant artillery. Those are, mostly the two things that they're known for. I did see some loyalists, I thought, online. Nope, they were just rhinos. Thought I saw a loyalist shot, but guess not. There are some rocket bots as well. I do like that mix. I notice a lot of Cybern players either go just for rocket bots or just for rhinos, but I do like that mix of units. We have a little bit more tanky, obviously, on the front, and a little bit more attack power with the hoplite. I do love to see that mix. It's, yeah, you can kind of just build 1,000 of whatever and call it a day, but variety is the spice of life, and being able to cover your ground units with AA and shields and be able to fire at range and at close range and at, all that different vectors definitely is an advantage that the Cyberns definitely take advantage of, because they are the definition of versatility. They strap torpedoes onto half the stuff that they have, honestly. So definitely dangerous in the water, those Cyberns. You do see again in the south, once again, it's Team 2's, the Eggroll has shield, gun, and T2 starting to be very tanky with that commander, shooting at 30, almost 36,000 hit points. And again, Team 1, Shady Sucks, not pushing it, but staying in a decent position here, trying to at least keep Team 2 at bay. And Team 1's Melano not pumping out a lot more units as he recently was. Looks like he's going for advanced nano. Maybe he'll use his I am of the unit. I am the comm. I don't need any other units, which could be the case here for Team 1, but we'll just have to see. The time to attack would be now with the comm down here in the southern section of his base. This would be the time for him to engage. He does have advanced nano, gonna be fixed right now, and he needs to move in immediately. Looks like he will be doing so. Needs to take that advantage while he has it. Strike while the iron is hot and all of that. And it looks like Han Solo, again, struggling a little bit, but is getting more shields and artillery online. Does have some TMD, looks like. You see the Seraphim player of Chicken going for some kind of mix of both missile launchers and artillery, while Han Solo's going for just straight artillery, which I feel like the mix is definitely going to be beneficial. But again, those Seraphim shields are just annoying to deal with, regardless if they're T2 or T3. So we shall see. We do see Melano pushing forward, and this will force the Eggroll back. This would be a great opportunity for Sox to push in with his forces and just collapse on top of the Eggroll's comm. Overcharge taking out another PD. Those are the main targets here for Melano, just trying to take as many of those out. His T3 shield emitter will be taken out. Could fall back a little bit, but there it goes. There is an Otham nearby. The Eggroll, again, almost at 4-star veterancy. Melano at 4-star veterancy, working his way up to 5. And again, sitting at 45,000 hit points and dropping, but again, 244 hit points a second regen. He's facing down a lot of Riptides. Riptides, again, don't do a lot of damage. They do fire very quickly. Again, kind of the Cerberus unit of the UEF. But he is dropping in the yellow quite substantially, dropping below 30,000 hit points. He needs to keep retreating. There are some PD nearby that are still in range, and there is a Percy nearby. Melano probably should take that out first. Looks like the Percy targeting the Autumn first. Diogo about to lose all of his hit points. Again, 19,000 versus 20,000, so about even between these two players in terms of hit points. But again, the aggro can regen shields and regular hit points rather than Melano just regenning his regular hit points. But he's sitting at 250 hit point a second regen versus, again, the 44 plus the 30 that are different units. Units transferred over here from Shocks for Melano to use. It looks like it's definitely a draw, but again, lots of damage has been done to Melano's commander, but you will regen. Again, 250, that's not going to last very long. 4 seconds, that's 1,000. And then times 10, so 40 seconds, he'll be back up to 40,000. Not 10 seconds, 40 seconds, he'll be back up to 37,000. So again, not really a huge issue there. And he will again, be able, not necessarily out-damage the aggro, but he'll be able to out-regen at the minimum, which is definitely what you want to do if you're facing off against a Calm that can do the exact same amount of damage. Probably needs to take out these Percies, though. They're starting to number in the 1s and then in the 10s. We do see a nice piercing attack down the middle from any time, trying to go after the resourcing options here for the egg roll, trying to diminish his ability to produce those T3 units, which is really great here for Melano because he's still on the front line, still charging forward. Needs to be very careful because these units could just U-turn and really just reduce the hit points on that commander. He has to keep that in mind as those Percies retreat to engage this piercing attack outbound from any time. And at the same time, while those units are moving southward, Tulsi's units are moving northward. We do see some Titans. We see some of the Pillars. I don't see any Percies. They're probably back here if there are any Percies. There's not. There's Spearheads, lots of T1 spam. And Tulsi freaking out. Needs to build that AA very, very quickly. And he's tweaking over there. But we do see Team 2's Chicken forcing back Han Solo. He'll probably drop into the water, but this is a victory here for Team 2, not only for this position, but also the north. Isolating Team 1 on the western side of the map definitively, just straight down the middle. Team 2 essentially owns a little bit more than 50% of the map here at the game. Team 1 has 5 players left. Of course, Team 2 has 4 players left. And in terms of mass totals, in terms of generated, and reclaimed, 670,000 for Team 1, 620,000 for Team 2. So a little bit more for Team 1. Team 1 is in the lead a little bit more in mass generation at 1.1k versus 1k even for Team 2. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. And of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate all of the time and attention you do give to these videos, even if for 1 minute, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, an hour. Every video I've ever done or none of the videos, I really do appreciate it. And the flak here nearby, Melano able to take out all of those gunships outbound from Gamer 9. And the air go back into the green, but again, 20,000 hit points versus 16. You can't really judge it just based off the bar and the color of said bar. You have to look at the actual hit points, especially when you're dealing with Seraphim. Everybody else, not realistically, you have to deal with that. But, when Seraphim can sit at 50,000 hit points and the aggro can sit at 21,000 plus 19,000 regular, shield hit points, definitely need to watch out for what the actual number is, not necessarily what the bar is indicating. We do see in the northwest, Team 1 is able to fight back against Team 2's onslaught. These both two gunships, very, very useful. Need to go after the spearheads, though. That'd be very beneficial, taking out all of those long-range units. They are very annoying to deal with, but they're going to go after the Titans first. Honestly, definitely the better choice of the two, just because this is nearby, Team 2's territory. This is over just in Team 1's territory. I haven't seen any really air fights as of yet. The ASF count doesn't look terrible in either direction, so it's not really favoring one team or the other. It looks like it's barely favoring Team 1, but again, that's just at close glance. We see Team 2's Eagle still trying to force back Melano. He's taking shot after shot by those Percies, and there he goes. Just got tapped by all of those Percies almost at once. The hit point regen could not keep up, and there it is. It's a tie game here at 23 minutes with the Egro claiming a kill on Melanola on the front line. Everything that he owned will be transferred over to Socks. and Sox will probably keep it for the time being. Often moving in to try to take out some more T2, T3 mexes, but we'll probably not really get anywhere here for Team 2. But again, it's more of a distraction, more of an annoyance rather than an actual success. It's like it needs to be successful kind of a move. Otham doesn't kill off the mechs, but again, does damage it. So later on, that might be a problem for that mechs, but we'll just have to see as time progresses. Shady Sox has provided a decent base here for his units, but again, he's facing down some percies, and I would not be surprised here from Team 2 as the egg will to shift southward just to take out the position and then go essentially all the way northward. Team 2 trying to essentially isolate Team 1 in the northwest quadrant of the map, and if they get them again in the water or behind the water, it's 75% of the map will be under the control of Team 2, which is a huge amount to be behind or ahead in terms of the map, because that gives you more mass points, which means more mass, which means more expansion, which means more upgrades, which means more units, which means more everything. It means more everything. But Team 1, coincidentally, is still leading the mass generation game at 1.4K. So that is definitely their way back into the game, is with mass. Now, it depends on what they're funneling the mass into is the case. You could be funneling it into nonsense projects, or you could be funneling it into experimentals or game enders or literally anything. And it all comes down to how can you use your mass effectively. That is the main concern here. Thought I saw a missile redirect or something, but those are probably outbound from these attack missile launchers is probably what I saw. It looked like they moved forward and backward, but that's just an illusion or something. Anyway, we see in the southeast, the T3 air headquarters is isolated from the air grid, which means if the air grid goes down, he still has the ability to produce ASF. I love that play. The only downside is that the adjacency bonus A isn't as good. B also doesn't help that these are gifted over to a different teammate, so they're not even assisting that structure anyways. So it's one of those, it'd be nice to have those, but he's gifted them over for the time being. That point is online for the egg roll, very far forward, doesn't have to walk it all the way over like the chicken has to do here for chicken, which makes life easy because chicken is going to be producing more chickens, just as nature intended. In the north, anytime does have a monkey on the line. There's not that many percies as there are down south for the egg roll, which he has just sent them forward and just going after everything that Team 1 Shady Sox owns, which he got from Melanol, so essentially just a continuation of that earlier fight. And those units just going to full send it here. I don't know if this is the best play. They're going to take out T3 Mexes, which is great. They've taken out a couple of Othams as well, but you're going to dump a decent amount of mass on Team 1's doorstep, so is it worth it? Maybe. It just depends on A, how much mass they kill, and B, how much mass generation Team 1 loses because of the stuff that they killed. Because it takes time to get engineers and either walk them over, tunnel them over, get them over there, build the structures, build the mass storages, all that stuff. It takes time to do that, and that's time that Team 1 loses on that mass generation. And those were T3 Mexes fully ringed. That's over 100 mass per second that Team 1 is losing out on, which is definitely a chunk here. We do see Shady Sox is on a upgrade here in the shield, going in the water, going for shield, and we do see those percies aren't really having fun in the water. There's a torp launcher nearby. Probably would have been smart to get that other one online, but Team 1 most likely will be fully prepared for that incursion when it does arise. With that fat boy online here for the egg roll, he's pushing southward against this base. There are some artillery starting to occur, but again, it's a little bit too late to the party there. Team 2 has the advantage. All that fat boy has to do is get in range and take him out, and that's it. End of story. We only see one air player for Team 2, and we only see one air player for Team 1. So not really. Well, I mean, there is a T3 air headquarters here for another Team 1's player, but there's not an air grid. You do see a nice Alwasaw bomber online, though. That's going to go after those, most definitely. And now the fat boy engages. T3 mechs will be killed off here. I wouldn't be surprised. There's no way. Oh, yep, there it goes. And those units are killed off by that bomber from overhead. Halfway to his first veterancy. And in the north, chicken online. Is that the same chicken or is that a different chicken? Because I feel like this chicken was moving this way and then it disappeared. So it must be that same. The chicken walked this way and then back north. Definitely not efficient for that mass, or not mass, that walking it one direction and then the other. And we do see that Monkey Lord was killed off eventually here by Team 2. Team 2 will secure the reclaim. And anytime we'll hide in the water, definitely the best best thing to do there, considering that chicken is pushing forward. Again, Team 2 trying to isolate Team 1 in that northwestern corner. And so far, they've succeeded on the northeastern side. Now they do it on the southwestern side. Artillery is not enough. It was taken out. Percies engaged Percies. But again, it's only going to go one way. That FAF way is a huge advantage for Team 2. And even if those missile launcher spearheads are nearby, it's going to take a little bit of the truth of the hit points and the shield on board that FAF way. And again, like I said, it's not going to go well here for Team 1. Team 1's only hope is, I mean, maybe the air fight, but Team 2 has the numbers just based on the icons that I can see. I don't have to do the numbers. Those are kind of easily plain to see. Team 1 will lose all the air that they have, giving Team 2 air dominance here in this game. 28 minutes on the clock. We could see mass gunships. We could see an experimental. He is Seraphim, he is Aeon, so he could go for a donut, which, I mean, might be useful, but he might just be beneficial to just, again, kick Team 1 out from the southern edge of the map and move northward. There is a Fat Boy online, 2 of them, in fact. This may be Team 1 saving grace. If they can get the Fat Boy in fast enough and close enough, this base would be destroyed. Of course, this base is still alive somehow. The Spearhead's going after the Fat Boy, but they're not having really great luck. That's a lot of Percies online for Team 2's the egg roll. It's really just going to carve a path into Team 1's territory. And we see in the north a naval facility is online. Don't really know where that's going, but we'll see. And the front line is still holding for Team 1, but just barely. Awasaw bomber shots over here. Don't know where it went. Feels like it got shot down, which it did. It's right here in front of my face. And we see engineer is going to start to be airlifted over there to grab the reclaim. Chicken is moving in, probably trying to either secure the reclaim or just deal damage to that front line. Chicken playing a very passive game now in the east. He has another chicken online. This will definitely crack through this position. Team 1 is on the back foot. They need a way to fight back in this game. A nuke definitely will assist with that. Does Team 2 know about it? Team 2 does not, but they will know about it here pretty shortly with those spy planes flying overhead. The question is, will they be able to prepare for it is the question. Do they have any sort of SMD? There is one online in the air grits. That one will finish, but this position is vulnerable. This position is vulnerable. And this position is not. There is an SMD. There is an artillery started here for Chicken. Almost half done here. So some players on Team 2 thinking about how to end the game. Same thing with Team 1. But again, Team 2's Chicken playing a very passive, not passive, but defensive game of I'm going to produce experimentals and artillery. That's it. All I'm going to do. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But the air is going to be locked out here for Team 1. Those ASF are moving in because they're making way for the bombers. Looks like they might be going after the nuke up here to the north. Or they might just be going after the air grid in general. The bombers moving into the east first, going after shield generators, allowing the way for the chickens to move in a lot easier. Bombs still landing. Have not taken out the shields yet. Looks like they're diverting westward. Air fight does occur and win for Team 1, if you can call it an air fight. But there are some T3AA being spammed up. They're going after said air grid. They will land some of those bombs, unfortunately, for Team 1's air player. And the shield will come online. Looks like they were going after the comm of Darabus, and they get blocked by that shield, unfortunately. And that might be it. There's more AA being built, of course, all the time. ASF's sitting over here. Don't really know where they're going at the current moment. But we shall see. Looks like they're just going to go northward and try to get a nice lineup here. Maybe they'll go after Han Solo's position, going after the strap bomber, not strap bomber, but the Fat Boy. Looks like they're going after the nuke, but the shield is going to hold for that. And the longer this goes on, the more AA gets built and more of the ASFs die. And Team 2 need to have that nuke come offline, but and the shield is staying strong as the current moment, and more AA is being built up as we speak. The main shield has fallen, but again, not really going well for Team 2. Looks like there is an avenue for attack for some P-gens, but they're still going to go after the nuke, which, again, will not go anywhere because the shields are strong enough to deal with that. Two Fat Boys online here for Han Solo going after the chicken. And the chickens, excuse me. There is a nice little Ravager over here. That's going to be killed off, but Anytime has been knocked out of his frontline position. He's kind of been knocked out of the game mostly. He does have his main base, but that's really about it. While we've been talking over here, Team 2 has swept the entire southwestern corner of the map besides this quad mech position. And there is a nice chicken standing strong in the face of all those percies. Team 1 trying to do the best they can to not be boxed in. Team 2 now outproducing Team 1 1.8k versus 1.5, 1.4. Now we're going to see that this match start to tilt in Team 2's direction, especially when you have multiple land incursions occurring and the air is still won by Team 2. Team 1 needs a way back into this game desperately. More air grid, I mean, it's going to help, but not really get them over the line. Nuke is about to load. What is vulnerable? The SMD is about to load. This would be a place to go after. SMD is not loaded or even existent over here. And in the north, this position could also be killed off, but you really want to go after the core mass. We do see the laser over top here for Shady. Going to be able to attack some of that, outlying eco dot protected by shields here for Team 2. And just look at this huge land incursion from Team 2's Emerald Green player of Tolsty. Fat Boys and Chicken starting to force back Team 2's assault in the south, but again, a lot to chew through. Artillery says Team 1's Mulanol, the dead player on Team 1, and it has been built by Team 2's Chicken. Gonna get some more PD and shields online. Emissary has been started here for the air player of Gamer9, and that nuke does launch. The PGen has been targeted. The shield comes online almost immediately, going to protect that SMD. And does it go after the air grid? If it does, that's a mistake, but it's going to go after the artillery. No, well, no, I think it is going to drop for that artillery. And unfortunately for Team 1, if it does drop there, it is not going to land. And again, artillery here for Team 2 is focusing on the air grid. It looks like that is the main target. More satellites are going to be built here by Shady Socks to just, again, force back Team 2 at least ever so slightly. The PGen was not destroyed because the satellite's on this side of the shield, not on this side. And as it circles around counterclockwise, it's able to target it at least a little bit. You can see not all of the structure is shielded, but because it's trying to hit the middle of the structure, that is covered. So you really got to try to move it over here, but that shield will protect it. Definitely unfortunate. Would have killed off a lot of engineers there, but just couldn't crack the shields. The Eggo says need mass for artillery. Looks like he's floating some mass. He's at 26,000, so not a terrible amount, but not a small amount. Emissary was stopped, and is probably going for more shields as we speak. Looks like the shields are collapsing, and a Yolana Os has been started by Team 2's The Chicken. I'm going to call him The Chicken because his name is Chicken. And some PGens, and a nuke was killed off. Definitely unfortunate here for Shady, but it will fund the construction of a second Novak satellite center. The Hatsue is almost halfway done loading once again. Team 2 heavily needs to either defend, just claim what they have, not keep attacking Team 1, or just full send it. Either or could win them the game. And at this point, defending is probably the way to go. If Team 1 wants to come ahead, they have to attack. If Team 2 defends, they'll win the game. That's usually how it goes. You gain as much ground as you can, you stop, you secure what you have, and then you call it a day. You build artillery, you build nukes, you build satellites, you build whatever, and that is it. Could go after these PGens as well. Did kill off one of the PGens, but again, not that much damage to the air grid. Probably should going after the mass. Looks like it's going to be able to go after some emitters, though. And the shield around that Hubatham is down. That's the only shield there. Unfortunately here for that satellite, there's not enough firepower just in one satellite to take out a shield, or sorry, a PGen immediately. You need about 2 or 3 of them to really just constantly do damage. And this, of course, the transport doing that circle around to trying to block some of the shots. Can't do everything, but the PGen, I don't think it'll go down. It needs one more pulse of damage. Yep. And that is going to be enough to... No, that's a T2. If the PGen regions... If this shield... I can't talk. If the satellite... There we go. Nope, never mind. And the shield's online. And there goes the PGen that could have been destroyed, but it was not. What else do we got here for Team 1? Again, the nuke. We have a chicken. Another satellite's going to be started. I do like that they're spaced out. The downside is you have to build more shields, more energy costs, and all of that. Team 1 desperately needs to win somewhere, but a huge land army here for the egg roll, plus more FAF boys coming online. We do see an attack in the south against a bunch of engineers, so that will definitely be in Team 1's favor. Bunch of engineers down here just going to produce probably an artillery given the formation of this. Maybe a Duke, maybe even a Mavor. Egg will drop to -5 somehow. That's very weird. Looks like the egg roll's lagging a little bit. Looks like it was just recent though. Loaded in. Oh, he clicked on Minecraft and it just sucked away his processing power. That's hilarious. It's like, hey, I accidentally alt-tabbed and clicked on a different game. Whoopsies. And artillery makes a comment here by Mel. Again, this was the emissary that was built and then stopped a while ago. Looks like more pigeons handed over to chicken for energy production and also going after the Yolana Oz specifically. It's almost a third done. 3,000 will be a fourth done at the fourth mark here for being done. But Megalith also standing strong. There's a lot of Lobos to chew through though, so definitely can't just sit still entirely. Needs to move around just a tiny bit. For Crab, that's not great. For Monkey, that'd be fine. Chicken standing stalwart down here. SMD is online, but again, even if the SMD is on, it does cover the whole base. Looks like the artillery is targeting this base specifically, opening a way for Team 2 to engage with that land army, which doesn't really exist right now. But again, the southern side of ever so slightly is coming closer and closer. Fat Boys coming into range of this only Percy army. There are more assisting units back here. We see some parashields and some Cougars. We'd like to see some skyboxes, some T2s. Those, yeah, T2. And then, yeah, it's not going to go. That chicken is going to die, though. That chicken full sends it. It's not going to matter. That chicken's going to die. There is so much firepower here. Nuke is outbound. At this point, everybody on Team 2 should probably have an SMD somewhere. Except for this position. That'd be a little bit worth it. But where's the Nuke going to go? Nuke is going to go, once again, down the middle. So either for Tolstey's base, which does not have an SMD, is going to build one now, but kind of a little late on that endeavor. SMD here is loaded once again, so just barely got loaded. That would have been very dangerous had that thing not loaded, because that nuke could have gone for that. But it looks like it looks like it's going for that base, but just one of those things where, is it going to land short? It looks like it might land short, but it's not going to land short. It is going to go for the base. And it does get shot down. SMD needs to be assisted a little bit more. They're trying to get that YOLO online. I understand that. But if your YOLO dies before it's even built, what's the point in building it? It looks like another nuke's going to be built here pretty shortly. Lots of assistance going down here for Darabus, not really producing any ASF. Team 2 have the air advantage. Are not pressing the attack in air. There are a couple of strat bombers trying to be built up, but not that many. Fat Boy B, Fat Boy Chicken just going to stand there and take some shots. Percy's just trying to bob and weave. Tactical missile launcher is done for Tolstey's Commando. Looks like he might go for Billy Nuke. I mean, if you're going to build that in your UEF and you have a transport nearby, you might as well just go for Billy Nuke, because why not? And again, the front line's still holding for Team 1 in the north, but it is, again, it's in that negative direction. YOLO 60%. I do love the assistance from Mel being like, hey, just by the way, this is what's going on. AA coverage starting to collapse. Looks like they're targeting the shield, not the shield, but the SMD here for Han Solo. Han Solo loses a PGen. That's not going to feel good. And he probably needs to move a little bit. Needs to get another T2 shield online. He moves. He would have been hit there, but he makes it just barely out of range. And T2 shielding will be started immediately. More of them going to be built. Will the artillery shell come in at the right moment? Actually, no, it diverts going after this PGen now. Definitely a missed opportunity there, PGen. That SMD. And like chicken versus chicken. And there are 3 Fat Boys online. One of them down here for Team 2. Chicken turns around. Crab turns around going after the first chicken. The chicken needs to run into the chicken to prevent the chicken from getting close to the crab so that the crab doesn't die. But that doesn't matter. There's a bunch of Percies down here. That crab's going to die anyways. One chicken was able to kill off one of the Fat Boys. Second Fat Boy in the yellow. Crab does die anyway. Chicken dies. One after the other. And Ion Storm activates. Not really going to do anything to Team 2's units, but this chicken will die as well. So 2 chickens for the price of 1. But they also lost a Fat Boy and a crab, so Team 2 will be in positive in terms of the mass lost. And there goes a third fat boy, not third, second fat boy of the 3 for Team 1. So it's negative and negative for Team 1. They needed those fat boys online. I know they tried to push it, but it just didn't really work. The fat boy was just enough. And the spearheads as well just really blitzed down those 2 fat boys quite quickly. And how is that SMD loading here for Team 2? It's passively loading. It's past the 50% mark. The question is, can Team 1 load the nuke fast enough? It's also past the 50% mark. It might be possible if Team 1 funds everything that they have. Okay, well, see, that's the thing. You're going to mass assist this one, but not mass assist the one that's half done. I get having, like, because there is a thing of, like, having a couple of SMDs to just passively load and then maybe focusing on one. But having 2 nukes and kind of not really passive loading either of them, focusing on both, but focusing on the one that's not loaded as quickly, the benefit of that is you can fire one after the other. Downside is the opportunity window starts to close. Team 2's SMD is loading ever so slowly, but it's still loading, and that YOLO is going to finish. And once it comes online, all the assistance either goes to the SMD or the YOLO, one or the other, or even a little bit of both possibly. But Team 1's only hope is to kill off the YOLO. YOLO has been completed. Team 2 still assaulting on the southern side. 4 fat boys online for the egg roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chickens online for Shady Socks. I feel like you could be funneling that into some, you know, just low orbit lasers or something a lot more effective than chickens, especially when the game is shifted from land to essentially game ender, artillery, that sort of thing. And the YOLO is loading very, very quickly. SMD is about to finish. How is that? Deribus says 90%. Unfortunately, you would have finished that off sooner had it not been for the fact that you're focusing on 2 different nuke launchers instead of just one. Definitely, again, missed opportunity there from Deribus. And the chickens engage, going after the fat boys. 1 chicken dies. And there's a lot of percies to engage. Yeah, I feel like fried chicken. And Nuke is outbound from Team 2, I would assume. And there's another chicken down. Ion storms are activating in the middle of those percies. Percy's just going to feel just damage after damage. There is another chicken back here. Let's zoom out a second. Yes, that is the YOLO. Oh. And yes, it is moving northward. I would assume it does. How's this doing? I assume it's almost done. I can't see it because I don't have the icons, but everything is dead here except the fat boy. And those are all Team 1, so don't have to worry about the ion storms. That is a ton of mass to scoop up. Another nuke is outbound. It's from Team 1. It's going after this SMD. The SMD just barely got loaded. And Team 2 needs to get more SMD coverage, or at least load a little bit more of them. Nuke is going to land short, though. Oh, that's such a missed opportunity for Team 1. Oh, that's rough, because they could have 1-2 punched that YOLO, and that would have been it for the YOLO, because that SMD was that nuke is going to load sooner than that SMD is going to load, and then that's going to do it. The YOLO would be dead. That SMD is going to save the day, essentially. Nuke is going to land short. But SMD does launch anyways outbound from Tulsi, so it wouldn't even have mattered. Oh, it's definitely disappointing here for Team 1. Oh, it was very close. Don't care about the mass fabs. I don't need to know about the mass fabs. Stop telling me about the mass fabs. SMD, not... Oh, it's barely enough to kill off that YOLO, but it's not going to be for the next one. Team 1 needs to build more SMDs. They have more back here, but they need to build more here. Don't understand. I mean, you're producing tons of chickens, which is great for the land game. Team 2 doesn't care about the land game anymore, at least on the southern side. I mean, they do, but again, the main point of contention is the YOLO that's right here. That and the artillery that's kind of just been there. Essentially, that's just a footnote in the YOLO story. And there is some SMD coverage, but none of them are loading very quickly at all. That YOLO is going to land, unless there's more that I don't know about, which... I mean, they've been built recently, so no. Another nuke, says Gamer9. And it will launch soon, but has the time passed is the question. Looks like the other YOLO was shot down. One should launch here pretty shortly, though. Now it's about to launch. Don't know why Sadfist is 80 shots.
Strategic launch detected.
And going after all of the mechs is here for, that's what his lasers are doing, which is what they're designed to do. Nukes one after the other, regular one versus super. I have 0 SMD, by the way. And this position is dead and gone. Well, again, instead of producing 6 chickens, he should have just produced 4 chickens and then just loaded SMD with those with that mass. I don't understand why he didn't. He has dual base, so he has the eco. He's producing more mass than anybody else in the game currently. Why he's not just fixating on loading SMDs? Because, yeah, I mean, you need to worry about the land game, but the nuke is going to wipe everything out anyway. This nuke will land, so there will be some damage. Will it clip the SMD is the question. Yes, it will. So it'll open the door for another nuke, but also kaboom. But we got to go over here to watch the other kaboom. Everything is dead and gone. Another nuke outbound. Kaboom! Gotta be a little more emphasis on that base because this thing is, again, massive. Nuke is massive. And another nuke is about to land. Does Team 1 have the SMD coverage? No, they don't. I mean, there's one SMD right here that has 2 of them, but it's not going to be close enough. It's not going to clip that nuke vector. At least I don't think it is. More mass FAFs being built. Another Awasat bomber going to be built here. SMD's hyper loading. Another one loaded, but it's only protecting his base, not anybody else's. And in a game where you need mass as much as possible, it's going to land a little bit short than what it could have, but again, it's protected. So it's not going to be shot down just in case. Another one going to launch. Again, from that YOLO, just destroying everything in its path. SMBs are going to fall. T3 Air Headquarters is going to fall. It's not going to matter. Oh, the T3 Air Headquarters is fine. Somehow looks like the shield coverage protected it, I guess. But still, the next one is going to land again. Oh, maybe. Oh, it's going to go over here. Go after these fat boys. Open the door for the land. See how the land, not really a lot of emphasis. Couple of fat boys, couple of chickens, but that's it. That's what deserved for the rat Novak's play, says Gamer9. Why does everybody just hate Novak's? I don't get it. You have 2 artilleries. You have 1. Wait, where's the second one? Oh, Mavor is being built by Gamer9. Look at that. He just started it, looks like. I don't see 2. I only see the 1. Shields are offline because he's building the Mavor. But second YOLO going to be produced here for chicken, because why the heck not? SMD has 2 loaded. Looks like it is going to fire 1. Another SMD is also loading, being assisted by the teammate of Tolsty. So again, the time to have killed off the YOLO was when there was only 1 SMD. Mavor paused at 1%. Says, yeah, it's just sitting there. Because why not? Because why not have a backup just in case? We got to funnel the mass somewhere in case chicken dies. It's a good strategy, to be fair. Mavor has been started in the west here for Shady. And I feel like that's where the mass should have gone for Team 1. Either that or a bunch of SMD. Either or. Because either you go, you play the defensive play, you try to keep your base online. The downside is, of course, you don't have anything to affect the land game. Or you just worry about defense, and call it a day. 3 satellites over the top of Chicken's base. Sorry to say this, they're not going to pierce the shielding. They're going after the SMDs, which is what they should be going after. But the shielding is pretty strong in Chicken's base. It's not going to matter. Another nuke is outbound. Yeah, it's just not going to make a difference at this point. I feel like all the mass he was loading into those nukes could have easily been funneled into something else. Because it takes... Where's the... I forget where the stat is for how much it costs for the nuke. 12,000 missile cost. So... I mean... He's launched a bunch of them already. Could have been enough, I think. Could have been enough. But anyway. Mavor is at 12%, so it's making its way up. But it, again, the land is falling over here in the east. The land is falling down south. Half of Sox's base is dead and gone. He doesn't have the mass anymore. I mean, he did, but now he doesn't. 300, he was producing the most. Now he's producing not the most. Chicken and Gamer are producing the most at this point. And second YOLO, because why not? You could build artillery with it. Could have built a Mabor with it. Mabor loading or being built at a little bit more percentage than Team 1's. There isn't any concerted effort by Team 1 to build one thing or the other. It's all individual. Again, we see assistance from Team 2's Tolsty going for, again, SMD coverage. He knows that they need SMD coverage, so he's going to just assist loading. Spend some mass. Not a lot, but just enough to just load it a little bit faster. The satellites actually leaving Team 2 side of the map, going back home. It looks like going north for going after defense, being used for what their actual namesake is called. But YOLO is just punishing Team 1. SMD are launching. One more. There it goes. It's going to kill off that YOLO, but the artillery kills off some of the ASF. Team 2, again, had the air advantage for a long time. I think they still do. Not really using it because Gamer9 didn't really feel the need to, because he had a teammate going for chicken and going for chicken. Teammate of chicken going for YOLO, and at that point you might as well just defend the base and call it a day. Torps? What? Those aren't torps. What is he talking about? What? Those are definitely strats for some reason. I don't know why he says torps. They are going to die to those ASFs though, so it's going to be unfortunate for Team 1. But Han Solo on the front line, wanting to protect whatever investment he has left, but gets killed off by the slow-moving shot of the chicken. It's going to be a 1-2 punch here for Chicken's Chicken. There he goes. He will get that second kill, one after the other. And it is now a 2v4 in favor of Team 2. Give everything over, of course, to Shady, but it's not going to be enough. Mabor is being built, but it's a little bit too late on that aspect. The time to build it was when the YOLO was being built, essentially. And I don't think this game is going to last too much longer. 50 minutes on the clock and closing in on 51. We have an hour-star bomber over top, and Fat Boys and Chickens moving in. The Iron Storm does activate, obviously because it doesn't, because the Chicken's dead. But again, look at this. Team 2 just essentially just isolated Team 1 on this eastern side of the, or western side of the little pond up there. Essentially the same thing was trying to occur, and Team 1 just says, I'm done, see you, bye. Doesn't want to stay underneath that YOLO coverage. The Mavor was pretty close to being built. It was over half done. The artillery looks like it was actually canceled. And the second YOLO was almost built as well, so because why not? It just goes to show you that, I mean, defense not usually wins, but has a higher degree percentage of winning. Team 1, I mean, I love the play of going for 6 chickens, but the land game was over by then, in sense of, yeah, we had, or they had the aggro, kind of forcing Team 1 to engage on land, but it wasn't that necessary. Team 1 could easily build just a ton of artillery and just locked down those Fat Boys and just produced a bunch of SMDs or a Mavor or something. Definitely not loading the nuke that was almost loaded over here. Definitely was the mistake here from the Erebus. Had he loaded this one first, the one I'm looking at right now, when he was doing the 2 loading at the same time, it might have been fast enough to take out the YOLO. Had the YOLO been taken out, Chicken may or may not have died. If he did die, everything he had left would be transferred over to Gamer9, who would be producing the artillery. But at that point, it would give Team 1 a ton of just breathing room, at least in terms of the nukes, to refocus maybe a little bit more on the air game or the land game, maybe deal with this up here, maybe even just build their own game ender and call it a day, which they were already doing, but later in the game. But it just, again, not killing that YOLO off definitely was not the last straw, but the straw that broke the camel's back and essentially just led to Team 1's downfall. But let me know down in the comments who you think deserves MVP. I think I don't want to just give it to the person who builds the YOLO or builds the main thing, because it's easy, but I think I'm going to give it to Tolsty, only because he and Chicken, but mainly Tolsty, was just constantly forcing the issue here for Team 1 on the northern side. It kept 2 players occupied the entire game, which allowed for Team 2's other 2 players to do a bunch of other stuff. Chicken was, again, helping out a little bit, but he wasn't focusing as much as Toasty was. So I think breaking through the north, isolating this section of the map, getting a bunch of mass into Chicken's coffers and building the YOLO definitely was contributed by Toasty. So let me know if who you would pick for MVP. I'm going to pick Toasty for this game. Thank you so very much for watching. Please, if you haven't done so, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much, and I will see all of you in the next one.